All right, moving up the continent now, I said we're going to be looking at Cameroon. It has been a country of conflict for years. Tentative ceasefire talks were announced last year between the Cameroonian government and secessionist fighters demanding independence for the country's two Anglophone regions. But reports of abuse continue into 2021. Cameroon is a majority French-speaking country, and its northwest and southwest regions complain that they have been marginalized by the government. The separatist forces are fighting for an independent region called Ambazonia. Tonight we're joined by the Vice President of Pro-Independent Leadership, Dabney Yerima. Mr. Yerima, talking to us from South Africa, thank you for being with us. So you are part of the federal government of Ambazonia, but there is no nation of Ambazonia declared yet or internationally recognized. There have been no elections as far as I'm aware, and there are in fact two separatist governments declared. For us looking from outside, can you tell us how united or divided you are, firstly as separatists against the government of Cameroon?
Well, we are a pro-independent movement under the leadership of Siseko Julius Ayuktabe, and he is in jail presently with members of his cabinet serving life sentence in La République du Cameroon, and I am his vice president. There are no two interim government because I am the vice president of the interim government of Amazonia. We are fighting a decolonization, an incomplete decolonization process by the United Nations for the former British Southern Cameroon Trust Territory, which had independence on the 25th of April 1961 to go operational on the 1st of October 1961. And since then, we stood up, and the president of La République du Cameroon declared war on us on the 30th of November 2017. And since then, there's been gross human rights violation by the military of La République du Cameroon.
Why do you say the government declared war? Just help us understand, because I understand this started as a protest movement, Anglophones saying we want a separate territory, initiated by Anglophones who feel marginalized.
No, the issue is not a marginalization question. We have international boundaries with La République du Cameroon. We were the first democracy in Africa. And we are calling on the UN to show the world whether they have any legal instrument that binds those two countries together. That is what we want to see. And it's our rights to fight for self-determination as a people. A people who want to live in dignity and a people who want to run their own affairs. That is why we stood up. And when we stood up, you know of the cases of rape in Ebam, which was reported by human rights. You know of cases of massacre that has been reported, like in Gabu, in Matua, also in Kumba, where our children were shot in school. You know, presently we have 2,000 of our citizens who have been killed. 130,000 of them are refugees in Nigeria, Ghana, and also around the Mexican border. 550 of our villages have been burned down. By the military of La République du Cameroon.
You're touching on the human rights violations that the world has been talking about, although some say the world is really ignoring what's going on in Cameroon. But given what's happened, regardless from which side it comes from, has it been worth it? Has your fight been worth it, given the suffering of many Cameroonians?
The fight has been worth it, and the Norwegian Refugee Council reported that this is the underreported genocide or war that is going on. It is worth it because I think on the 1st of January, I believe that you saw Resolution 684, which was passed by the United States Senate, asking for an all-inclusive dialogue. And the good thing about this resolution is that it comes also with sanctions. Presently around the world, we've heard members of parliament of France, Germany, the United Kingdom. They are asking that there should be an inclusive dialogue. And interestingly, yesterday, one of the lords in the House of Lords in the United Kingdom asked the Foreign Secretary Kingdom that what are they doing to find a solution for Southern Cameroons, their friends.
Yeah.
So the truth is coming out. We are fighting for the truth, and we are fighting for a just cause. And that is why you hear lords now in the United Kingdom calling us Southern Cameroonians and saying our friends who were betrayed. And I believe that the world is talking about it, and we are calling for an international fact-finding mission to our territory so that we can come up with the facts. And we love to resolve this problem peacefully.
Yeah.
And if
Mr. Yerima, there are reports of huge violations. Mr. Yerima, I do want to ask you, have you supported the boycott of schools? Because that apparently is an initiative among separatists. So not the government. The allegations are that separatists are enforcing these boycotts, that teachers and children who attend school in schools in some of these areas that want independence are being stripped and beaten and punished for attending school.
We have never done that. A war is going on, and any reasonable parent will not allow his or her child to sit in a class where bullets are flying in the air. Our position is clear about school. We are one of the most educated people around the world. We love our children to go to school, and it is the parents to make that decision to send their children to school. And in times of war, when there is a humanitarian crisis, in times of war, when the military of La République du Cameroon break into houses, loot property, take young men and women and shoot them, I believe that no parent will want to send their children to school.
But do you give parents those choice? So do you give parents the choice? The reports, I think it's Kumbo in the north, found that 15 to 19-year-olds, most of them weren't in schools, and the majority of the young women had become teen moms. That's what happens when there's no schooling. What about the future of these children while the war is being waged?
Well, I believe what you're saying is not correct. The parents have the rights, and if you followed us, everything we've put out there, our position on school, is that the parents have the rights to make that decision to send their children to school. So we understand these are the consequences of war that we see happening everywhere around the world in locations where war is going on. Let La République du Cameroon take her military out of our territory, and our children are going to school. Presently, we are working with other international partners to see how we can create opportunities for our children to go to school. Yeah. We are also working on ways that create platforms that our children can study, even at home. We are busy doing all that because we understand the importance of education for our children. So we're doing a lot of hard work. We understand it's a sacrifice that none of us thought that this was going to happen, because we have been a peaceful people all our lives, and we have made many attempts to solve this problem with La République in a peaceful means.
Mr. Yerima, you said you're calling for an international group to go. You're calling for an international group to go and look at conditions. You're calling for a group to go and look at the conditions in the Anglophone areas for a mission to do that. Tell us what they will find. Why should the world, why should South Africa support a free Ambazonia? What are the conditions for Anglophones in Cameroon?
Now, presently, like we understand the war is going on, what we want the international community to do is to go to Ngarbu, is to go to Mautu, is to go to Kumba, to go to Ebam, to go to territory and get eyewitness account of the gross human abuse being meted on our people by the forces of La République du Cameroon, the military of La République du Cameroon. That is what we want the international community to go there and see. And from there, we can Like presently, we are asking for the unconditional release. They should put pressure on La République du Cameroon to unconditionally release our president, his cabinet, and all southern Cameroonians who are in jail in La République du Cameroon. That will be a sign of goodwill that La République du Cameroon wants us to look into the root causes of this problem and find a lasting solution to this crisis. So if they are not ready to do that, we have made a decision that we will not return to the status quo. We are going to fight until the last man standing in southern Cameroon.
Your president reportedly was involved in talks with the Cameroonian government last year. Before we let you go, why did those talks come to naught?
Well, because La République was using that to blindfold the international community that something reasonable is going on, which they have never committed into any process. You can talk about the Swiss process. You can talk about those talks. Nothing has come out. Some southern Cameroonians have been busy in Switzerland for more than a year, and nothing has come out of those initiatives. That was just one of them, to fool the international community that day and buy time and get support from the French government and some international organizations to keep on giving them money that they are taking care of, maybe COVID, or because of the issue of COVID, they get funds, but which they are using to buy weapons to kill our people. So it's just a matter of buying time and fooling the international community. And I believe that the international community has come to realization to understand that La République du Cameroon is not serious. If you follow the Oxford conference, which took place a couple of weeks back, a German parliamentarian, Dr. Hoffman, said La République du Cameroon has not committed. They killed the Swiss initiative, and that is true because they have never committed into any process. They have bypassed all international norms and conventions with regards to looking for a solution to this crisis. Even the call from the Secretary General of the United Nations that they should call for a ceasefire because of the COVID pandemic, they have not done that. They're still in our territory. And we are defending ourselves against an invading enemy. What is going on our territory is a black on black colonization process, an assimilation process crafted by France and executed by La République in supervision by France.
All right, thank you. All I can say is SABC News takes African news very seriously. We'll continue to follow your calls for more action from the international community and those reports coming out about what's happening in Cameroon. That was the Vice President of a pro-independent leadership in Cameroon, Dabney Yerima. We take a short break.